Hello, my name is Greg Bottrill and I'm the author of the best-selling early years book, Can I Go and Play Now? Thank you for joining me here in my shed in Devon. And hopefully you're watching this because your child is about to start school and you may have some questions about the role of play, and also potentially you might be looking for some sort of top tips as to how you can help your child within their school experience. So welcome, and I'll start just with a question, and that is your child magic? Do you, if I was to ask you, do you believe that your child is magic? And hopefully you would be answering yes. And I ask that because I personally do believe that all children are magic, that children do have something very special about them. And we only see this real sort of special quality that children have when they play. Play is a really important factor in child development, and I'm hoping that at your school that you've sent your child to, play is embraced with all its power, and your children get to have a big chunk of it as part of their their early years school experience. So why play? Shouldn't children be with an adult to learn? What is it that play has got? Well, play is, if you like, it's discovery, it's exploration, and it's the way that children naturally make sense of the world around them. Play is incredibly powerful. Not only does it develop children's physical abilities, children, their bodies need to be developed in terms of muscular strength and core strength as well, and knowing the sort of limitations of their own bodies, what they can and can't do. So they need lots of opportunities to be physical and active. Children are not designed to be spending all day sitting at chairs being bored by adults. They are designed to go and explore, to go and get their hands onto the world. So again, when you go into the school, you should be looking for how the school is enabling physicality, how much time they allow children to be outside. If they're lucky enough to have a garden, what kind of access they have to their garden, and whether there's free flow in with that. And if there isn't free flow, potentially ask why not, and just see if, how a school is supporting the need for children to fully be physical. Play also enables children's thinking skills. It's no good adults just coming and explaining everything for children or getting them to fill out worksheets. Children need to be able to have hands-on experiences that they can bring themselves their own thinking and make the connections in their brains for themselves. And doing things for themselves is also a really important idea, because what we're looking for when we enable play is what we're saying is that children can learn independently. They don't always need an adult to be present to learn. Children are quite capable of exploring resources, exploring experiences together, and learning from one another or by themselves. Yes, the adult has a role. Yes, the adult has a role to interact and to teach as well. There will be times across the day when your school will be teaching children phonics or maybe some mathematics. But on the whole, children should be giving plenty of opportunity to play so that they can develop their own autonomy, their own independence, so that they themselves take on their own learning. Critically, when children play as well, not only do they develop independence, they also develop skills to get along with one another. They create friendships, and they do that because play can be incredibly collaborative. Often see it where children will start an idea and 5 or 6 other children will come and join in and develop the ideas together. They will negotiate, they will make the rules, they will explore with one another how to improve and how to build on what has been started. And that's because children learn from one another. As adults, we think we've got all the knowledge, and we may have to a degree, but actually children have a way of seeing the world that we don't. And children listen to children. Children are interested in other children. And that, again, is why play is so powerful, because when children play, children talk. And language is critical for learning. to be able to explain what we think, explain our understanding, talk to others, take turns and engage in play. We need to have a shared language with one another. And time again, I've seen where children, when they're playing together, language develops, because what they're doing is they are not only playing with one another, they are playing with language. And the ultimate power of play is that it creates the conditions for joy. Now, I can't speak about your own school experiences. Often, however, for many, many people, they were quite negative. But when we allow children to play, when we enable children to play, joy happens. And for me, I want children not just to have a learning journey, I want them to have an adventure. And they need to have that adventure because children are magic. They've got something about them. And I've listed them here. They've got a natural curiosity to make sense of the world. They've got a natural curiosity about one another, about the environment around them, wonder. They want to discover things for themselves. They want to, it's almost like the world is one big science laboratory. They want to get their hands on it and they want to explore it for themselves. They've also got within them a real creative desire to change the world, change objects. You'll see it when your children maybe come home from the creative area and they've maybe done junk modeling. To you, it might just be boxes stuck together. But for a child, that is something incredibly special, that they have made something new out of what didn't exist before. And that is a really powerful thing for children, as is collaboration. Children are born to be sociable with one another. It's a really critical skill, especially as they go through school, to be able to listen to the opinions of other people, to be respectful. And you'll see it at the bottom there about care, to care for one another. And I would hope that is what we want for all our children, to be able to care for one another. And when children play, what they discover is not only their own capabilities, but the capabilities of one another. And that is where they start linking together. They recognize what needs to change with one another and they support each other in their own learning. And so that is what makes children magic. And that is why children need to play. It isn't just about the adult role. Yes, that's important, but children also have a role amongst one another to move their own learning forward. So look for those big chunks of play across the day. Look for how your school is enabling the magic that you see within your child. Is your child full of joy? Is your child really highly engaged in what they're doing? Are they full of wonder? When they come home, often children say that they've done nothing in the day, but if you probe a little bit further and really unpick what they may have done in that day, their day should be full of play. So look for it. And if you don't find it, ask. Ask your school, ask your teacher how they can develop the magic of children. Now, what can you do at home as a parent? Time is really tight, isn't it, when you're parenting? And believe me, I've got teenage children. It doesn't get any easier. Well, in fact, it does, but it's just different. But when children are very young, time can feel very, very stressful. We want them to get ready on time for school. We've got jobs to hold down. We've got bills to pay, all the adult world things. But these 5 T's here are things that if we give to children, then actually what we're doing is we are supporting them and enabling them to be even more magic. Children don't crave objects. They don't crave gifts. They don't crave the latest technology, the latest thing. What they deeply crave is time, your time with them, to share, to be with them. So across the day, at home time, look for how you can put time aside to share with your children. And ultimately, the second one, to talk. Talk is really critical. Having that two-way conversation with your child, talking about the world around them, noticing things, sharing with them parts of your day, asking them about what was so special about their day. Just taking those moments, finding those moments to uncover what your child is thinking, really, really critical. The other thing is tales, stories. When we read to children, we open up another special world for them, the world of imagination, the world to be able to, the idea that we can picture other things outside of ourselves that are truly, truly magical. And there's nothing better at bedtime than be able to snuggle down and share some stories with your children. Find the time to do it, because all the evidence suggests that the more that we read to children in those early years, the more capable children are of having the imagination further down the line in school. So if you can, find the time, share the stories, share time to talk. Now, the other thing, to and fro, is a really nice little game that you can play. Along the way, when children start school, they're going to encounter phonics. And phonics is the teaching of reading and writing. One of the critical skills that children need to be able to do is to chop and blend. They need to be able to hear the sounds that make up words. So, for example, k-at, cat, b-ed, bed. And so it's a really simple game when you're talking to your children, is to say things like, right guys, it's time for bed. And what you'd like them to hear is the word bed. And they might even say, oh, it's time for bed. When they do that, you know that they can begin to hear the sounds that make up individual words. Now, don't panic if they can't do it. All children are unique. All children have their own time frame within which they will learn the sounds. But if you practice this with them, and it's just a little game, you can begin to train their ear to hear the sounds. So again, it's just thinking of little words like d or g. If your child is staring blankly at you, then you know that they're not hearing it. But if they say, oh, dog, then you know that they're beginning to hear the sounds. That is something really simple that you can do with your children, and just gets them listening for the sounds in those words. And the final T is togetherness. You're a team. You love your children. You think they're magic. If you show them that you're together, if you show them that you really, truly care about them, one of the great things that you can do is put your phone down. We know we're really busy. We know that we want to connect to the outside world. We know that we want to look on Facebook. We know that there's WhatsApp, there's messages to send. But if we're forever on our phone, the message to your children is that your phone is more important to them. Try as best as you can, when you're with your children, put your phone in your pocket or in your handbag. Try not to leave it out in front of you, because the subtle message to your children is that you're waiting for it to ring. The subtle message is that that phone has got more value than they do. So practice, put it away, turn it off, put it on airplane mode, and have that togetherness, that time to talk, that little bit of to and fro with your children. And what you'll find is that you yourself will really enjoy that time too. It won't just be your children, because the children and their magic, it'll rub off on you too. And when you enter the world of the magic of children, then that is when life changes for the good. And you discover things that you probably didn't think your children were capable of. So have a go. Think about those 5 T's. And then when you go into school, look for play, look for the magic, and look for joy. Thank you for listening. If you want any more information, you might want to look at my website, www.canigoandplaynow.com. I look forward to seeing you there. Bye-bye.